From this quiet place, I finally have the clarity I sought while I was alive. The world has moved on, yet the stories remain frozen in time. They say so much about me, the shy Di, the vengeful wife, the people's princess, but none of them ever told the full story. And so much has been rewritten in the years since I've died. The most persistent whisper, the one that causes me the most pain, is that my marriage was a loveless sham from the very beginning. They say Charles never loved me, that I was merely a convenient and suitable virgin for a future king. It is a simple, cruel narrative that erases all the nuances and the moments of genuine connection we shared. I loved Charles, not the crown, not the title, but the man. When we first met, I was young and hopeful. He had warmth, he had charm, and I truly believed that together we could build something real. And for a time we did. There were smiles, laughter, and joy. When William was born, and then Harry, I thought our love would be strong enough to last a lifetime. Now they say it was an arranged marriage. But in a true arranged marriage, both sides are aware that that is what it is. I walked into mine believing it was a romance, a marriage born of love. Many years later, I found out the architects of the so-called arrangement were not the grey-suited men of the palace, steeped in tradition and duty. Nor were they the senior royals, bound by family and expectation. No, the truth was far more personal, and in some ways far more cruel. It was engineered by two of Charles's closest confidants, Camilla Parker Bowles and Lady Kanga Tryon. They were the gatekeepers to his heart, and they saw the mounting pressure for him to marry. He was over 30, a bride was required, and an heir was essential. They needed a solution, but one that would not disrupt their own established order. They needed someone who would not pose a threat to their influence over Charles. They looked at me and saw the perfect candidate, 19-year-old Diana, the quiet Spencer girl with an impeccable lineage, and most importantly, no history. Camilla called me the mouse, but they miscalculated. As Charles got to know me, there was a real blossoming of love. He was attentive, he was charming, he was protective. He wrote letters filled with affection, longing, and hope. We walked the fields at Balmoral, and for moments it felt like it was just the two of us against the world. Do you know how I used to feel when I was with Charles? I used to get butterflies all the time. He was kind and attentive, and I was swept away by the romance of it all. He really was my Prince Charming. He wrote me love letters, and I opened my heart completely. I was passionate, telling him how my spirits lifted whenever we were together, how head over heels in love I was, and how I looked forward to spending the rest of my life with him. Charles was captivated by the me he was getting to know, not the caricature that had been presented to him by Camilla. This was not part of the script. This intense connection between Charles and me took everybody by surprise. Most of all, Camilla. The mouse was not behaving as expected. She was capturing the prince's heart. The rivalry was born in that moment, not just a rivalry for a man's affection, but a clash of two worlds. I represented a new path for Charles, a chance at a conventional family life that he had always wanted. Camilla represented the past, his comfort, his escape from the very duties that we together were embracing. At our engagement, he squeezed my hand when the questions grew overwhelming. When the interviewer asked if we were in love, he said whatever love means because he knew Camilla was watching and growing suspicious of our growing connection. Later that night, when he knew she wouldn't hear, he whispered he couldn't wait to marry me. Though I was only 19 and trembling inside, I felt his love. I was the future, she was the constant past. But the game had changed. I was no longer a harmless pawn. I was a rival queen on the board, and she did not step back when Charles married me. She leaned in. She did not want to lose her place, and in the end she won. Charles was not made of stone, though. As he fell in love with me, he became a man divided. He loved me, but he was bound to her. There were nights he held me, truly held me, when he thought no one would ever understand. He once told me, "Wait, they'll never see us as we are." That was the voice of someone torn in two. And even in the worst of times, there were very real bright moments. Charles could make me laugh like no other. His impressions, his silly jokes, especially him mimicking the goons, would have me laughing until I could barely breathe. There was real warmth between us. There were letters and laughter. And oh, what letters! Charles was such a poet. He would write some of the most beautiful love letters. Charles could be gentle, kind, and tender. I remember how he comforted me when I was overwhelmed as a young bride. He took care of me, but his heart was divided. Behind palace doors, he would sit with me, listening to my stories, comforting me. On one evening before William was born, he read to me from one of his favorite books. He loved his books. He wanted to share himself, to show me who he was when the world wasn't watching. That was love, however conflicted it became. When William arrived, I saw it again. Charles kissed my forehead and whispered that we had created something extraordinary. That tenderness was real. And when Harry came, though history remembers only Charles' disappointment at a second son, there was joy as well. He cradled Harry with awe, rocking him gently, smiling as he held his son, a rare, unguarded smile. He whispered to Harry that he would always be loved. Those are moments no one writes about. But I remember them. My tragedy was not the absence of love, but the fragility of it. That is a truth that has been erased. And I speak now because it must be remembered. I harbour no ill will towards him nor her. Charles loved me, he laughed with me, he comforted me, he shared his heart in moments unseen. It wasn't enough to save us, but it was real. That is why I speak now. And to my sons, William and Harry, I understand that you've had a row and fallen out with each other. I don't care who started it, I am ending it. Say sorry to your brother and make up, now. I love you both very much.